Hello, heathens.
Hello, heathens.
It's
Part
heathens at night all over again.
two.
Yeah,
Heathens
seriously.
at night. Ooh,
Heathens at night. Those of you listening,
heathens at
you will
night.
not know it's at night, but we're telling you it's at night. For those of you that
It's at
know
night.
us, it gets weirder the later it gets.
Good evening.
Good thing we're talking
Freaks
about
come out at night.
anxiety. Yeah.
Ooh, anxiety. The nighttime, hold on. The nighttime reminded me of that thing that we have to do where we have to camp in the woods and find a body of water and cross it and then find something on the other side.
Yeah, I don't know if
That
we
gives me anxiety.
seriously, I don't know if we've talked to you guys about this, but we do have to, on a full moon, we have to swim in the moon's path across the lake, and there's going to be things that happen and then swim back at night in the moon's path because it has to be at night, otherwise they're not going to see the moon path. But still, we're horror fans over here, so all I can think about is it Jason? It's Jason.
It's Jason. It's
It's
Jason.
Jason.
Who else is in the woods? Isn't there other people in the woods?
The Sam Squanches.
The what?
Sam Squanch.
Sam Squamps?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
It's from Trailer Park Boys. Bubbles calls Sam Squatches Sam Squamch.
Oh,
Yeah. The Sam Squanch, Ricky.
do we have Sasquatches here in Michigan? I
I
didn't
would
see any.
I would think so.
We got the dog man. It's kind of like a Sasquatch,
Kinda, yeah. Slash werewolf.
right? We got both two. It's a twofer.
Yeah, it is a twofer.
If you're
Um,
if you're playing bingo, you can mark off two in a row.
Also side note, I know it's been a while since we've talked about kangaroos, but people now send me videos of them, so that's been a lovely thing to add to my anxiety. I have fears of things, okay? I have thalassophobia. I don't like big bodies of water. They stress me the fuck out.
Oh, I
Kangaroos
love
stress
that.
me the fuck out. And then I get people that
Oh,
send me videos of that stuff, and I'm like, why? It's
because you
killing
said
me.
it out loud.
Yeah. Tis true, tis true.
Tis true. Tis true. I don't know. It's funny because I do believe like heights give me anxiety, like being next to a cliff that's really high. I always think I'm gonna fall, even though I'm not. And sometimes I've noticed like when I'm going up an escalator that's particularly long or tall, I can feel it like you're gonna fall, you're gonna fall, you're gonna fall. And I almost will go like this, or I'll like
Yeah.
hang on to the side rail like real tight.
I get that
And I'm
weird
like,
feeling in my feet.
and I
Do you know
move
what I'm,
all the way forward like this.
do you know what I'm talking about? The feeling in your
Yeah.
feet? Yeah.
Yeah. Like
If
they're
it's
automatically
TikToks
gonna
of
like,
it, oh, you know those people that I can't. It's
oh,
giving me that gross feeling. But you know those people that like jump on the tops of buildings from like one,
yeah.
yeah, and they're like up on skyscraper. I can't. I can't. I'm in my bed like, hey, hey, I can't look. I can't look.
I can't. Uh,
I have lots of fears. I'm sure some of them are from past lives because I have an irrational fear of clowns.
yeah.
I
That's a
did.
pretty common one though, right?
I I'm not sure. I definitely have thesphobia. I don't like deep water or big bodies of water. That scares me. I think they're beautiful, but it scares me. I don't like dolls. Dolls freak me out.
Yeah.
Mannequins freak me out a little bit. I'm always scared that I'm gonna walk by one and it's gonna try to grab me or something, or it's gonna move.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. I don't like mannequins, especially the full body ones. They stress me out.
Oh, a lot of people's anxiety is when they take off, planes take off,
Oh yeah.
or a landing. That's a big one.
Hell yeah. So I think when we're talking about anxiety, we're not just talking about anxieties that we get like that either. We're talking about full blown like anxiety, irrational anxiety tonight as well. Um, because I know that one's really, really hard to get over and it's really, really hard to quote unquote fix, right? And it can really like fuck your life up, man. I watched it fuck some lives up, and it's really hard to go through irrational anxiety.
I agree because like even like people that I've talked to, like the anxiety and fear that they carry around is like I'm honoring the fact that they are scary and they're stuff like that. And some people hold it as their truth, right? So they don't want to move on from it. They just want to be anxiety about it, right? So I try to hard, it's hard for me to kind of like help them through it when they own it so deeply and they almost want it to be there. It's like their way of like, because even I do that. It's like, oh, I'm identified by the fact that I have anxiety, like whether it's body dysmorphia and somebody's, or even irrational ones that are like, oh, everybody hates me. They're only being nice to me because they have to. And, that's one of the things like with my relationship with people, it's the critical thinking of like, did I do that right? Did I say that wrong? Did I hurt their feelings? Now they hate me. And we saw that in a manifest in when we were in LA. I immediately went to the fact that everybody hated me and they were all going to abandon me.
Mhm.
And it was interesting to look at that full blown because it's like, then I started being like, well, why? Why did I go there? Why did I immediately in this downward spiral? Why was that the biggest one that came up for me instead of like so many other things that was probably more dangerous? Like, what if she had a gun or like a
Yeah.
knife or like things, things could have escalated really badly or, that kind of thing.
God, for a second, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? The fight. Oh, duh, the
The
fight thing.
fight.
Yeah. I was like,
Mhm.
people hated you when? And then I was like, oh, did it. Um,
Only
s-
because, and the chain of event that I finally figured out is because I was in the moment, I was handling it, but it doesn't look like what people think it should look like. And I got scolded. And when I got scolded, it knocked me out of that empowerment moment that I was in and straight into I'm a bad person.
yeah. Um, when it comes to this episode, though, I did want to give a disclaimer because I have some people that are extremely close to me that have really bad anxiety and have needed help with it to the point that they are on medication. And so I wanted to
Mhm.
give a disclaimer that we are not here to ever tell you that you're wrong, because we say all the
Absolutely.
time, you're right, and there's no rights and no wrongs. We are
Hmm.
not here to make you feel invalidated about your anxiety, right? And
Don't
we're
have
not,
anxiety over
yeah,
us.
yeah, don't have anxiety
we're
over us. We're not
we're
judging.
really trying to help move
Yeah,
through it.
yes.
And if it comes off as you'll get anxiety from what we say just because that's how anxiety
Or,
works.
yeah, or you could feel invalidated or anything like that. And we're
Yeah.
not here to do that. So I wanted to make this very, very clear before we start a very sensitive topic like this that we are not
Yeah.
here to do that. If anything, what my intention is, because I was thinking about this, my intention for this episode is to potentially give you guys some other ways to look at it and maybe give you some more tools in your tool belt that could potentially help you with your anxiety, because I know it's not a one fix for all. We say this all the time. There's 50 million ways to do everything and nothing looks the same for everybody. So
Hmm.
I just wanted to get it really really clear before we get into this.
It's really a science experiment of things that work for you.
Yeah.
And what works for me, because I have a different filter, I have a different past, I have a different present, things are going to work differently. Things are going to be different in my soup that makes it balanced and harmony, have harmony to it, where your soup is going to be a little different.
Yes.
You're going to need to add different things in it because you grew up different, you're in a different time frame. Like we're all this unique expression of spirit. So then we're
Uh-huh.
going to have these ingredients that are going to be a little, yes, are there common factors? Absolutely.
Right.
But you really have to do the science and like, okay, I'm only going to eat, like I saw that you can eat kimchi and it helps you with the cortisol. I was like, oh, that's really cool because we just had that kimchi
And we could
the
actually
other
eat it.
day and it was so good.
We
I was
we were
so
able
afraid to
to
try
eat
it.
kimchi
Yeah, it
for the
wasn't
first time.
spicy. It was very vinegar or not very vinegary, but it had like it was so good. It
It
was
was
it was
so good. I will say so that was the most mild kimchi I've ever had because most of
Yeah,
the
because
time
it's
it is
usually
straight
hot.
up spicy. And we all
Right.
know Nicole and I cannot handle the freaking spice. We're going to make t-shirts that say water is spicy.
Water spicy. I'm sorry. It just is. It's just spicy. Okay. I'm sensitive. That's why
Okay.
my daughter's like, why don't you put any, what is it? Spices or what are those things? Herbs into the food.
Oh.
I'm like, well, because I'm white. I go, but second of all, I'm so sensitive to how food tastes that it gets overwhelming. And if I get overwhelmed, I don't like to eat it anymore. Like when we
Yeah.
have 3 drinks in a row, we have our alcohol, we have our coffee, and we have our water. Because the alcohol becomes too much, you need the water, then you need the coffee, but then coffee is too much, so then you need the water. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. So yeah, I'm glad we made that clear. I'm glad we got there. So let's
Uh
move into it.
well, yeah, let me have my disclaimer, I guess,
Oh yeah, go
too.
ahead.
Because I know that sometimes I come off harsh, and I know I only do it out of the for the better good. I try really hard to move people through it instead of being in it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that those little pushes and nudges that or even little bites that I have that people get sensitive on, it's not to ridicule, it's not to put you down. It's really kind of to make you be aware of it because a lot of times we're not aware of it and we're just like swimming hopelessly in this.
Void.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
fucking void, man. So like thank you for that disclaimer. I think that'll help people and just in general, like people that are spiritual can usually feel what you're feeling. And if they can like see a way out and you're not looking at it, of course it's gonna sound harsh. Or if it makes you look at yourself, it could be not we don't looking at ourselves is hard sometimes, right? So
Mhm.
thanks for that disclaimer because I like that one. But speaking of the void, the common theme today from everybody I listened to, all the articles I read, is that anxiety is a form of fear.
Yeah.
It is fear incarnate.
Mhm.
And I feel like just that alone right there, I don't know how many people actually ever think about that.
No, I agree because I feel like we think fear is more like the feeling like I'm in the corner and I'm hiding for my life,
Yeah, there's a
right?
ghost at the end of my bed or something, right?
Yeah, or I can't go down that hallway or
It's
that
scary.
alleyway. It's scary. There's a guy with a gun. Like that's
Yes.
fear, right? Where like anxiety is like the little sister of fear. It's like, okay, it's always hanging around. You're kind of annoyed by it, but like there she is, right? She's always there. She's always feeding you like little anxiety tablets.
It's like anxiety is like the monster sister, though, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like she can grow bigger and bigger and bigger and become so overtaking that soon you lose yourself and you start identifying with your anxiety sister, your monster sister anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
whatever the fuck I just said.
Right.
Anyways,
So we'll take it.
yeah,
Monster sister anxiety. Yes. Go.
yes, monster sister anxiety thing.
Hey, it's late at night. This is what we do.
Get prepared because we're talking about something rough
Repair.
and we're gonna be fucking weird the entire time, you guys. It's fucking
Abs
heathens at night.
heathens at night.
um, so in like researching, I know we both listened to a lot of Teal Swan because when I first started listening to Teal Swan, I also want to say this because I think we have before, but it's been a while. We're now on month 9 of this podcast, almost into month 10. So I want to reiterate
Yeah.
Teal Swan. Now it sounds like to me, I'm like, oh, duh. But before, when I first started listening to her, I was like, I don't like her. Ew. I
I
like
same.
don't want to listen to her.
Same.
And it was hard at first, but like it's because she lays things out in a way that you can't argue it because
Nope.
it's so clear, it's easy to understand. And what are you going to say to that? Because it's so true. And it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to have somebody laying it in front of your face on a silver platter and say, This is lettuce. This is tomatoes. This is vinegar and oil. You mix them and it makes a salad. How do you argue that?
No, I agree. And that was the thing, is like when I first found her, I was like, ew, like, and this was when her videos were a little newer too. So like they were like, she would giggle in them and I'm like, oh my God. But like I kept watching them. And then I was like, there's some videos of hers that I will literally watch 2 times in a row because I couldn't input anything that she was saying. Like
I
I heard the words, I know the words, but I don't understand the picture that she's trying to create, right? Like it's so above my head.
Yes. Now, like she says things like today when she said, okay, I watched her in this interview with this girl. I don't know if you saw that one, but the girl was talking about her anxiety and like how, like, what is anxiety? And Teal Swan said, anxiety is a subject matter rising from the subconscious to the conscious. And to get away from anxiety is to get away from awareness. So essentially, running from your anxiety is going to make it worse. It's about
Wow, right.
experiencing it while still moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I had to
Yeah,
pause.
because I don't think we could ever get rid of anxiety per se,
Never,
right? Like
never.
you just have, I mean, that's the thing about being brave. Yeah, you're scared. You're scared to go into that cave. You're scared to face yourself at night. Like, but you do it anyway, right? Like, I don't want to go to the grocery store by myself. I don't want to do it. Like, I don't like to do it. It makes me nervous. I have anxiety about it, all that stuff. And like, but I do it anyway,
Yeah,
right?
right. And it's like one of those things where it's like the way she described it too is that it's basically your subconscious is making you aware of something. And when you push it down, it's like it's we said it in the last episode. Go sit in the corner. Well, you keep telling it to go sit in the corner and you keep pushing things towards it. You're pushing that same energy in the same corner. And guess what? Eventually it's not going to have a corner, it's going to have the whole damn room and it's going to be spilling
Right,
out. It's
right.
just going to keep growing and growing and growing until it is that little girl monster sister thing. Oh,
Sister
what
monster
that
thing.
is.
That would be like the equivalent to if you took your clothes off every day and didn't wash them, but put them in the corner and you just kept doing that. And eventually your whole room is dirty clothes, right? Like that's what happens. It just accumulates.
It's so funny because I just spent an hour and a half putting away clean clothes because you were all lying next to my bed. Oh,
I didn't pick up on that at all, I swear.
thank you. So, um, man, anxiety, there's just so much. I just there's things that I also thought about bringing light to, like the ways that anxiety can come out, especially those with irrational anxiety, where it's like so overwhelming and it's over something that has nothing to do with anything. It just hit them randomly. It can come out in so many different forms, and one of them is being anger. But then if you look closely at anger as somebody that is not experiencing the anxiety but is receiving it, if you look closely at it, the underlying feeling is
Fair.
fear. And I'm like, it's I realize the goal of this is to understand anxiety more for ourselves and for others too.
Right.
Because I was when in researching all of this, even just that, realizing that somebody could be angry, right? Quote unquote, but they're not angry. They're going through a moment of fear, regardless of where that fear is coming from. It's not, never take anything fucking personally. Those 4 agreements, man, they're always
For agreements. Yep.
smacking me in the face.
Seriously. I gotta put them everywhere because I need to remind myself of them.
Also, I still keep forgetting the fourth
Um,
one every
oh, what is
freaking
it?
time.
So don't assume.
Never
Always do
take
your best.
never take anything personally.
Never take anything personally and be impeccable with your word.
There it is. I think the one I always forget is do your best.
I always say that like the one you forget when you read them off is the one you got to work on.
Don't tell me that. I don't want to hear
I feel
that.
uncomfortable.
I feel like I'm being called out in class.
Don't have anxiety over it.
Honestly, you're right though. That's just again, that's one of my things to work on, right? Because like imposter syndrome, we talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But okay, when looking at our anxiety as fear, you have to start looking at your thoughts you're having around it, right? It's is it possible that there are certain thoughts you're having that consistently that are causing that anxiety or fear?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you projecting yourself into a future moment and thinking about all that could happen and realizing that you're trying to, like, if you're doing that, you got to realize that you're trying to control what will happen. And because you
Yeah.
realize you have no control of what's happening, that could be causing your anxiety and your fear as well.
Oh, absolutely. Because what do? We think of the worst case scenario, right?
Yep.
Like always, like if, and I think somebody said that depression is about the past, where anxiety is about the future.
Yep.
So then we sit there and we worry about like, well, how's this going to go? And you try to think of all the possible outcomes that could happen. And then like, if something, I'm really good at like starting off here and ending up in like, I will now be buried alive. The worst case scenario, right?
Dragon's going to show up and I'm going to be burned
And
alive. And
your and my brain are the same. So we're super creative about our torture.
yes, and Eckhart Tolle said this, and this fucking smacked me in the face. He
Oh
said, in an
God.
imaginary situations, remember you are completely at the mercy of it. The
Yeah.
actual situation would be easier to deal with because you're there, and it's
Mhm.
never as bad as we work ourselves up to. But him just saying, in imaginary situations, remember you are completely at the mercy of it. And hey, dude, we create our
I
own misery.
know. We create our own misery.
We
It's all up
create
here, dude. It's all up here.
I will preach it till the end of days. Time is an illusion and it's a man made concept. We are not our brains.
Right. We are not just our brains.
Can I just take it out?
It's a tool,
It's
right?
a
Like it's a
tool,
tool.
yes. Can I
We
still take it
use it.
out?
No,
I can't
you can't.
Frankenstein it.
I mean, we could tattoo little things on your forehead if you really want to, but no, we're not going to Hannibal Lecter your brain out of there. What was that? Not
Hey,
Silence of the Lambs, but where he was eating.
Hannibal said it was good though.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
even it's fine. It's fine. We're just
Heathens
having
said
dinner.
that.
We're
I
just
was
having
just
dinner.
girl dinner.
Girl dinner. We're gonna have to get a dinner guest.
I'm sure we could find a few. Trust me. I'm sure we have a roster at this point. Oh, I gave you several disclaimers, Heathens. Several.
Several. You were
Several.
warned. You
You
were
were
warned.
warned. You have been thoroughly
You were
warned.
warned.
You
Um,
chose to be here.
you made choices and they
You-
show.
yeah.
Sorry about it. I'm not sorry about it. Um, I know that one of the things with anxiety is your gut and what you put in it too. And then like if you're eating, and I know I hate saying it like this because like I'm such a rebel. So a lot of the stuff, well, I'm going to eat this anyway because I can, right? Because that's the way my ego talks. And what I notice is like if you're aware of like if you go out and eat like McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever, like a fast food thing, right? And you were perfectly happy as you're eating it. And then what I noticed one time is that as soon as I got done and I wasn't getting any more dopamine, and I should have been just happy because I was full, I had all my needs met at that point. I noticed the negative thoughts coming in. But it took me a while. Like I never noticed that before. So it took me a while to like, or just to be aware of like, wait, why? Because they come in and I think it was about Rob. I was like, well, he didn't do this and he didn't do that. And like, I should go over there and tell him about himself or something like that, stupid. And then I was like, why am I thinking this?
Well, your gut makes up a lot of your hormones. A lot of your
Hmm.
hormones come from your gut and what you eat.
So if you do have high anxiety, I would either do some research on what foods help you get rid of the cortisol in your body and what foods create less anxiety. And she even said stuff like not letting your sugar levels get down because that's when your anxiety will get high. So if your sugar levels goes down, your anxiety comes back up. And it's really easy for that. So it's just certain things that you have to do very deliberately to.
Well, and it could be even after you have the anxiety too, because something that I had saw was that your body doesn't know when there's a threat or not. Because if your mind, you may create this situation, your body
Mhm.
doesn't recognize that there is not an immediate threat from it's not translating.
Yeah.
It's not your body can't know what's happening in front of it without your brain. So if your brain is imagining an immediate threat and it's not real in the here
Mhm.
and now, you're automatically going to throw your body into I'm in danger.
Right. That's why horror movies are so scary.
Yeah.
Because we're seeing this scary thing, thriller on the TV. Well, then all of a sudden your body starts to shake and shiver. And then you you go to bed like that and then you have all this anxiety from that.
So I would also maybe suggest maybe look up foods too that like if your body's already in that state, is there something that you can eat that would help your body come out of that state that would give it
Right.
that relaxing? Because my immediate thought is, oh, tea, but what the fuck do I know? I don't know anything. So
Well, tea would be really good if you
I'm
got
just
a
like,
certain
tea,
type that like, even like chamomile. Chamomile is a great tea for like, I know we use
oh,
it for
calming.
sleep and stuff, but it's very calming.
I didn't, yeah.
You could do green tea, and I know that caffeine probably helps or whatever they think about caffeine because I know sometimes it helps some things and some it depends on your chemistry makeup. So, but green tea is a real good one too because it's going to pull that toxin out of your body.
Yeah.
Baths, that's why I take Epsom salt baths all the time
Yeah.
because that helps gets those toxins out of your body. Tamara just told us about beans. If you eat beans, that absorbs the cortisol out of your body. Exercising, which I don't like doing, gets that cortisone out of your body. So if you have a high anxiety level, I would suggest you find either running or walking or some 30-20 minute thing to move your body around.
Well, and from a spiritual standpoint, what you're doing is you're pulling yourself out of your head into your body.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
from a spiritual standpoint, I had that written down too. Working out or going for a walk even, you
Mm-hmm.
start getting your body moving and you become more aware of your body and it pulls you out of your head into the awareness of your body, hopefully to where you can get into a middle point to where you can help calm yourself down and get back to a more peaceful you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember Teal Swan, I think, said something about in one of her clips. She has several clips about anxiety. She even has one how to stop a panic attack. So that would be a good one to look up as well. Just to have so few key things in your toolbox. But she also said like to you're going to it's almost like you're going to have anxiety. So then you just strap it to your chest and you work with it. So like if you had a baby that you couldn't put down, you strap it to your chest and you continue to do the dishes, you continue to make dinner, you're like, yeah, I got anxiety. Here it is. And then you continue to do what you're doing. And that'll help you move through it instead of sticking in it.
Yeah. To where I ended up going further into like Eckhart stuff because I was like, man, I feel like just sitting in it though could sometimes feel even worse. You know what I mean? Because it could get
Hmm.
crippling. And like he was saying how like taking on those thoughts, like yeah, realizing like once you start just realizing the destructive nature of those thoughts, it that alone is the baby step into moving into less anxiety. Is like
Hmm.
even just recognizing the thoughts that you're having and that those are so destructive to you and they are causing you to be fearful, they are causing you to be have anxiety. Even that alone will start you detaching from your identification with your anxiety.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so it's not like it's the feeling and the thoughts, right? Because like we
Yeah.
can get so fucking lost in the feeling, man. Trust me, I get it. I have depression. I have worked really hard with it, and I'm luckily in a place to where I can handle it very easily now. But
Hmm.
there were times when I would get so stuck in it to the point I felt like I do. If you guys have not watched Big Mouth, I will say that there's a lot in that adult animation about kids and hormones and all
It
this stuff
really is good.
that's so good. And the depression kitty hit me hard as fuck because when I was really back in the day when I was really depressed and I was identifying with my depression, it would feel like I had that big old depression kitty sitting right on top of me and she was monstrous and I could not get up. I had
Hmm.
nothing, there was nothing for me outside of just laying in bed.
Right. And sometimes that's what you kind of need to do. You just can't stay there, right? Like
Yeah.
I when I've lately when I've been moving through my depression, I'm like, all right, I got 30 minutes. I'm gonna sit with my depression.
Yeah.
And I bring it up and I feel it and I do this. I even get my body into like a depression stance, if you will. Like the
Yeah, it was
like
hard to
just
move.
yeah.
It
Well,
I
that's
get
the thing.
and like I can get it too, where it's like it's hard to say these things and then it just sounds so easy and we totally understand that because like that's why we're telling you some of our experiences too, you guys, because I do really have like they wanted to put me on medication for depression and I said no. Like
Yeah.
so I get it, it's not easy to start, but even just like the recognizing and that's a good step. And then
That's
the second big step is going to be trying to just move. Even if you sit up, even if you have anxiety, you sit down and you take a breath, or you just stand for a second and you take a deep breath and you start focusing on your breathing. That alone, the
yeah.
movement in your body is going to help
Yeah.
pull you away from these thoughts that are plaguing you, man.
They're just taking over. And it's not any way to live. I mean, and the stuff that we tell ourselves sometimes is kind of, on the outside. And when I tell it to people, what I'm thinking inside, people are always surprised about, like, well, I would never think that you were like that or you would have those thoughts. And it's like, oh, I can like, I sometimes I feel like a troll when I'm putting on makeup. I'm like, why am I doing this? Sometimes I feel, so bad about my body that I can't even go out in public. But then I'm like, nobody cares. Nobody really cares about what I look like, right? Like, it's not like you're going to stop talking to me because my eyebrows aren't right.
I'll actually probably talk to you because your eyebrows aren't right, to be honest.
You're like, ooh, me too.
Oh, damn, look at my brows. Hey, how's it going?
So I've really tried to practice at this level. I've practiced even like taking my makeup off and going shopping at Myers and just like feeling what confidence should feel like or try to feel confident in that moment. I'm still awkward when I meet new people and when I like out in public. I mean, and a lot of people are awkward with me. So it's hard for me to like, you know, I'm always like, I'm trying not to be intimidating, I guess, but like it comes off weird. But that's okay.
You are not intimidated or intimidating. They are intimidated.
Intimidated. Yeah.
Also, whoa, whoa, whoa. What was I going to say to that? Something. Well, it's gone. It's a fleeting thought. She came in, she
It's
left.
she
Goodbye.
came, she left. Um, in this one, How to Get Rid of Anxiety with Teal Swan, she had a really good point on like journaling. And then she read some of her journal, and it was so good because like she was like, and she's done talk shows, she does her own like circuit, she's got books, blah, blah, blah. You would think that she's got her shit together. And she's writing this down, and she's like, they won't do my book. And like, why am I even living right now? Like, I'm not even doing anything good. I'm not a good person. Like, she just goes on and on and on. I was like, she's like, my stomach hurts. And like, so getting these out without judging what you're putting on the paper, I think is really important too, because you're moving it out and in the paper.
So I have that in there as well. And I have that as a part of like getting into a routine because
Mm-hmm.
getting into a routine is going to be huge to minimize the potential to have anxiety, right? Waking up in the morning, doing like meditation, making your bed, whatever you want to do, but adding journaling into your schedule
Mm-hmm.
is going to help minimize the potential for issues, right? You're in your routine, you're journaling each night. I have that in there too because I thought that journaling helps so much in so many ways so that it's not
Mm-hmm.
in your head only.
Well, and we're going to resist these things that are going to help us, right? Because like it's easy for us to like tell ourselves that it's not going to work and that it doesn't matter what I do. And like so you kind of have to through these tough waters because also your ego is trying to keep you safe
Mm-hmm.
in a really fucked up way. And sometimes you do have to go against this resistance that you're holding onto because you're trying to do something different. You're trying to change something, and change is scary. So, even I know it sounds funny, at least to me it does. Like, why would I be afraid of journaling? And I could tell you that my anxiety would be like, well, somebody's going to read it and then they're going to be mad at me because I had thoughts about them
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, right? This situation. And then somebody will come back and then I'll be in trouble. It goes back to I get in trouble a lot. I mean, not like a lot, but like I think I got in trouble a lot as a kid.
Well, and with journaling, what it goes back to is that what it's going to help you do as well is to realize the destructive nature of these thoughts that you're having. And
Mm-hmm.
once a part of you, even if it's the most minuscule part of you, starts to understand that these thoughts aren't real, they're not reality, they're not based in reality. After a while, that energy will exhaust itself trying to get to you because it's going to throw everything it has at you to pull you back in so it keeps getting energy, right?
Right.
But once you start that, you'll be able to continue to take steps against it in a way where it's like these thoughts aren't valid. These thoughts are destructive. These thoughts aren't helping me. And by journaling it, you'll be able to see it. Because in moments after you're done, if you get out of the anxiety and you look at all this stuff that you wrote, you're going to look at it and be like, what the fuck?
Right.
That's
Right.
fucked up, man. That is
Because
so mean to me.
right. And the funny thing is we beat ourselves up more than anybody. If somebody talked to us the way we talk to ourselves, we wouldn't be friends with them.
True.
Well, at least I hope you're not.
Yeah. Um, so other reasons that you could get anxiety, and this is the part where I feel like Nicole or I should get a disclaimer where it's like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to invalidate you. I'm trying to help you become more aware of some things that it's not you. It's just something that could be approved upon, you know? Because I had some of these. One of those could
Well,
be, oh, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, like a lot of the stuff that we say can be brushed off. We're not PhD doctors. We are literally just talking from our experiences, is what it is. And you can take it or leave it, really.
Truly, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, one of these could be that you're resisting reality.
Yeah.
You can't avoid changes for the rest of your life. Really, honestly, you guys, you can't. Life is constantly pulling us in different directions and changing. And when you start being able, you start working on yourself to be able to accept the changes and move forward and trust in the universe, it's going to help a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
if that's something that you didn't know about yourself, that after I say it hits you, man, don't be mean to yourself. It's okay. Changes are hard.
Well, ask why. I
And
always ask why. If something hits me hard, why? Why did that
mm-hmm,
hit me so hard?
yep,
Um, Even like when you have fear that rises up, whether it be any of it, or even like distasteful thoughts where you're like, well, I'm ugly and nobody's gonna love me and I'm unlovable and blah blah blah. Like those ones there too are like, well, why am I unlovable? Did I murder somebody? Did I like was I did I beat somebody up? Like, and then that's a whole nother thing. But like, from my standpoint is like, if I'm a horrible person, like I would be doing things, I guess, maliciously. Like I would know that I'm doing them, right?
yeah,
To
yeah,
you for on purpose.
right. Well, and like, even with like, this is again where journaling comes in really nicely because,
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe you haven't found your purpose yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why you're like, you got to start looking at why you're experiencing anxiety, and these could be some of the reasons. And maybe you haven't found your purpose yet, and your soul might be feeling lost, like there's no way out, nowhere to go, everything's hard. You got to start looking for your purpose as the solution to it. Start asking yourself questions in your journal like, what do you want out of life? What kind of person do you want to become? Where do you need improvement or overall change? Journaling is going to be huge during this time.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is you need to free your mind.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that. We've talked a lot about this over the season and different things to work with and integrate and not identify with, right? Like I'm not identifying with my imposter syndrome. We're not doing that, right? We're going to work with
Mm-mm.
it. We're going to figure out where it's from. By doing the work on yourself and freeing your mind, you can start to free yourself from your anxieties and your fears.
Mm-hmm. And you're not gonna like get rid of them 100%. What you're doing is you're integrating them so they're not so potent. You're going to dilute them into the spirit of you because that's what makes up you. That's why we don't want to put them in the corner or tell them that they're bad. You want to integrate that kind of feeling inside of you. I see you. I am holding you. I am here to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And what we end up doing, or what we've all been taught to do, really, is to pretend like it's not there, not feed it what it needs, like loving compassion. Like also they were talking about like if you have a partner, have them rub your back at night before you go to bed. Have them cuddle with you. Physical touch is so important. Go get a massage. Those things those little things that you can do are so very helpful about being human. And
Yeah.
anxiety really came from when we were cavemen and we needed to like, oh, there's a saber-toothed tiger around the corner and he's going to eat me. That's what anxiety came from. Like that to keep us safe and, like, oh, don't do that because you'll die kind of thing. And you notice, but we don't have to, we don't do that anymore. We don't have anything that will really kill us like, a dinosaur or something big with teeth and scary, unless you're a shark wrangler, and then I don't know.
Yeah.
That's different.
Then
That's a whole nother level of
get a different
anxiety.
job, dog.
Whole
um,
level.
Another reason I had that I put down for why you could be experiencing anxiety is also you could be holding on to past experiences. So, like, as you work on yourself and you do the work, anxiety could come up because you're tapping on old wounds, man. These kinds of wounds, you don't heal overnight. and you might need
Mm-hmm.
therapy. You might need a good cry session. I type cray session, whatever that is. Um, and then the biggest thing with that is you need to allow for your time to rest. Like you got to give your body, keep in mind what we said earlier, where like your body's in fight or flight when you
Mm-hmm.
have this bad of anxiety and you're creating this scenario in your head of for the future of what's going to be scary and what's going to happen, and you're giving your body what it needs to be put into fight or flight mode. So like say that you have some trauma and it comes up because you're working on it, right? And you get anxiety over that, your body is still in fight or flight. Say you cry it out, or you go to a good therapy session, you go to get Reiki done, you do something that helps you calm down. You have to give your body time to rest, because essentially what you're doing is you're allowing and making room for your body to get out of that mode and know that it's safe
Mm-hmm.
again, so that it knows how to help you from getting these big panic anxiety attacks.
Yeah, and the more you practice on it, the easier it'll become because like before I wouldn't even know I was spiraling. And then now I can kind of go, wait, I know that feeling. I'm spiraling. Why am I spiraling? What is going on? What do I need to address?
Yes. I think we also need to distinguish between things we can and can't control. I'm sorry to say it, but it's as simple as that. By doing that, it's going to start to help the process of loosening the grip on our anxiety.
It
When you
really is.
realize that there is nothing I can do, if Nicole's in a bad mood, there is nothing I can do to control that. Also, it probably has nothing to do with me, but that's a whole other thing. If we're going
Right.
to keep it simple, I simply can't control if she's in a good or bad mood. I simply
Mm-mm.
cannot control what's going to happen if I, like, I'm going somewhere, going for an interview, I'm moving, I'm going to meet new people. I simply cannot control what happens when I get there.
Right. I can
That,
only react and hold space.
and I can only be my truest best self.
Absolutely.
And I think that letting that realization sink in as one of the biggest ones is that you simply cannot control things. It's
Not only
it's
that,
just
like we have anxiety about stuff like we have anxiety about stuff like we're not good enough for people to either love or a job that we wouldn't be performing. Like, I really need this job because I really need this money and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but do you want to be happy at this job?
mhm,
Or is it only money? Because we need to make that clear before you go in it. Because if you're miserable for 12 hours a day, it's really hard to shake off when you go home to your family or your loved ones or whatever, even your cat. You know what I mean? Like you have to, and it's not just the first day or the first 2 weeks or maybe even the first year. It starts building up that you're miserable in this job because of, maybe you have a poor boss. Maybe you have a employee or a coworker that likes to dig at you, that just irks you the wrong way. And that's like having a thorn in your shoe as you're walking around.
mhm.
And after a while, it really gets bad. So, what I'm saying, my point is, I should say, is that if you go into that interview and you don't get that job, that's not about you. Okay, maybe you did like
Could be about
as
you,
long
but
as
we're
you
just
were,
saying
yeah, we're
if you
saying
did
like if you were
everything right,
qualified, right, right, like whatever.
you get
But
what we're
like
saying.
if you don't get that job, there's a reason why you didn't get that job. That's because like yeah, maybe you like the manager, maybe you like the job, but like the lady over there, Helen, was going to ride your ass every step of the way. And that's something you don't need. But you didn't know that, right? Or like when you and I get a cancellation, I've always said like, okay, that's great because A, we're taught that we're mad at the person for canceling. Then we didn't get the money that we were supposed to or counting on, right?
Hustle
And
culture
then
is a lie.
what? Cancel culture?
Hustle culture. Hustle
Culture,
culture is a
yes.
fucking lie.
It totally is. Because what if my scenarios go like this now? If that person was sick and got me sick,
Mm-hmm.
or that person was in a really bad mood and we would have gotten to a huge fight and I would have never saw that person again. Or and then I get to feel bad about that. Right. So I always thank the stars or whatever that like, well, I hope they find what they need. I'm okay with like now if it's a pattern, that's different. Right? If they
Right.
cancel a bunch of times, that's different. Also, I want to talk about like when you're dating. Please be your most authentic self when you're dating because if you're going to attract a person that, all right, let's just say like this. Like if you're a guy, you have long hair and a beard, you're like, well, nobody's going to like me because I have long hair and a beard because that's not acceptable, which we know it's not true, but I just go with me. So then you cut your hair off, you cut your beard off, you put on a three-piece suit, knowing that this isn't you and this is not what's going to make you happy, then you attract that person that likes that clean cut, that beardless, that suit looking kind of person. But then when you eventually shake off this facade because you can't keep it up, it's not who you are, that's when problems start happening. And when that person goes, well, where did this person that I came in with, where's that person? So if you're not attracting somebody in your mouth where you feel the most happiest, you're looking at the wrong people. You need to find somebody that A has the qualities that you like, but also that accepts you for who you are. And if you're hiding who you are, it's not fair really to the other person. That was my TED talk.
I was gonna say, where did that come from?
Well, because I have a lot of people that talk about like, well, I can't get a date and like, I gotta make my hair blonde and I gotta lose 15 pounds and like, or I'm old. Like people that are my age that are single now, they're 46, almost 50, and they're thinking like they're like, oh, I'm never gonna find a person. Who are you trying to date?
Yeah.
You're not trying to date an 18-year-old. You're trying to date a 50-year-old, right? He knows, trust me, he knows how much you weigh. He knows what you look like. You know what I mean? Like he's been around the
Mm-hmm.
block. He's not trying to like, well, most of them, but like, so that's what I'm saying. Just the more you love yourself, the more you can have a loving relationship with somebody else because you guys can help each other. Like, listen, you don't have to be anxiety about this because I love this about you. You find that person that makes you stronger, that is that cheerleader for you, that understands who you are because you haven't hid yourself from them. And I think that's what really makes a great like relationship. I don't know.
If anything that she just said interests you, go back to self-love and love.
Yeah.
Aging is beautiful and marriage.
Marriage.
Everything she just said and more. If not, I think this was an add-on little nugget for you guys for those 3 episodes. But if anything she just said you want to hear more of, you go back and you listen to those fucking episodes, okay? And if
Absolutely. Well,
you
there's so
listen to
much
them, listen to them
anxiety.
again.
There's so much anxiety on our image, and we know this because we're in the industry, right? There's so much anxiety on how I look, on how much weight I have on, whether like where my boobs are, how my arms look, what are my legs doing, if I should shave them, if I shouldn't, am I not a proper person if I didn't shave my legs? Like,
No,
there's
you're a
so
heathen.
well, yeah, we know this. Wild. I
Wow.
am untamed, not taming it.
Well, another form of anxiety that I wanted to talk about that I realized does not get talked about a lot too is spiritual, like anxiety that happens once you start working on your spirituality, once you start working on yourself, because this was not talked about, and I don't know if I've talked about it with a lot of people that start getting into spiritual workings and working on themselves, doing the shadow work, all this stuff, the anxiety that starts to happen when you start to heal, and especially when you start your spiritual and journey does not get talked about enough. And so I wanted to bring some quick caveats for this because this happened to me when I lost my faith in Christianity and
Mhm.
moved into my spiritual path. I went through a fuck ton of anxiety about it because what I didn't realize
Mhm.
was happening is large amounts of energy were starting to come in into all your
Yeah.
psychic centers, and I didn't understand what the fuck was happening. And I was getting all this energy, and it was like you plug your phone charger, the ones that are portable. You plug your portable charger in, but you leave it plugged in overnight, and it's been charged for 6 hours now. So she's amped up and she's ready to freaking roll. That's what it can feel like when you start
Mhm.
your spiritual journey in whatever way that may be. It can feel so overwhelming because you have so much energy in you. Your body's not ready to absorb that kind of energy, neither any of your psyche centers, right? Like, and you
Yeah,
don't
your
know
chakras.
how to
Mhm.
ground it out.
Mhm.
That's what I was missing. So if that is happening for you, know that it's energy, it's not anxiety, and you need to start grounding it out
Right.
so that you can become a good conduit.
Mhm.
I had to talk about this really quick because I was like, holy shit, nobody ever talks about this.
No, nobody does talk about well, and that's the thing, when you see those memes where they're like, what it looks like, what you think it looks like getting into spirituality and what it actually looks like getting into spirituality, that's true.
It's so true. So when you start grounding this shit out, you guys, and you start becoming that conduit, that's when you start getting the downloads. That's when you start getting like the knowledge and the wisdom, and you start knowing things that you didn't know before. Or like you
'Cause you're
just,
moving it, it's priming the pump, like, you have to move it
yes,
out so you can ha move space so you can get it in here.
yes.
It
And
goes
the
down here.
more you do it, and the more you'll be able to receive, and the less overwhelming it'll feel.
Not only that, like, I was thinking about this for a long time about grounding, is like, we hold in all this energy, this anxiety, we're holding on this extra energy when really it needs to go back into the earth. We're depriving the earth of this energy because we're holding on to it like it's ours,
Yep.
when really she needs it so that she can like recycle it and put it back out into like trees and grass and all that kind of stuff. So the more you ground, the more you feed her that energy that she knows what to do with. This is not your energy. This is her energy. Give her her energy so she can use it and recycle it back into Mother Nature, back into the natural parts of the world.
Yes, and look up grounding, how to ground. There are so many
Absolutely.
different ways. You'll find one. Just do your research. It'll come to you through the ether if you keep putting it out. I need something to help me learn how to ground. Because
Mhm.
eventually, what will happen is you'll do it so much, you basically just anchor yourself.
Yeah,
It moves with you. You don't have to think about it as much because it's there. You've already reinforced
absolutely.
it. You've anchored yourself to the earth. So you become a conduit. So look
Mhm.
up some grounding things. If you want to do a guided meditation, I think Damien Eccles has a really good one that's at one of his 4 podcasts on Spotify. I
On
think that one
Spotify,
is
yeah.
like, he has one
Mhm.
about grounding. I will say that is one of my favorite ones I've ever done. It feels really, really good because he walks you all through it. But yeah,
Yeah.
just start doing some research on grounding. I'll get off my soapbox now, but I had to talk about that because I realized today, and it kind of pissed me off that nobody talked to me about this, but then I was like, whatever. It was like a quick moment of what the fuck.
Right. Well, I think, like, it's one of those things that you're not really aware of, and then once you're past it, you're past it. You don't think about it anymore, right? So it's not
Yes.
like something you would actively tell, because, like, in the beginning, you don't realize that, like, this is important, I can actually share this with somebody else that's going through this. You're just in there like, "Oh, shit, what did I just do?"
It's like I always say, you move past basic math and you're into your fucking PhD in physics, dude. You forget to be like, oh, by the way, 2 + 2 = 4. You're welcome.
And then you're like, oh yeah,
Oh, yeah. By
fucking
the
forgot
way,
about that shit.
you're probably going to experience this. And if you haven't already, just know,
Oh
ground it
yeah.
out.
Well, that's why I went back and read like your favorite person, Joel Osteen. I can't remember
Mm,
what book it was now. The Power of No, that's
that's
Eckhart
Eckart.
Tolle. I think it's a power or something. Anyway, um, it's funny because when you go back to read these books, that's such a foundation for us that like it's almost like reading a whole new fucking book because you're like, wait, did I even read this the first time?
I literally feel like this all the time because this is my second time listening to The Power of Now. And the first time I was like, yeah, that was such a good book. And this time I'm like, no, that book's good. Because the first time I couldn't. Again, you tell me 2 + 2 = 4. I don't even know what plus means.
Right.
I don't
What's
even
a
know what
two mean?
equal, what's a two? I don't, I'm at 1 and 1.
Oh, right. If
And I don't
that,
even
like
have the
how, like
plus.
what is a one?
I just learned how to write a 1.
Right,
It's a straight line,
baby.
but I learned it.
I
That's
got
how I
it.
felt. Yes. I feel like that
Yeah.
all the time with books. When I go back and I read them again, or I listen to them again, and I'm like, holy shit, like I learned so much more. I got it. I'm getting it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is find somebody if you really want to get a handle on your anxiety, find an author, find two authors, read a book, see if it helps you, read the other book, try to implement some of them, go back to the book,
Yeah.
right? Like you'll get it eventually if you keep showing up. And it's the keep showing up that really pushes it through. And
Yeah.
you'll eventually, like when I was doing ritual magic, I had to have my headphones on, listening to the audiobook as because I'm like, Hebrew? What? I can't even get English down right. And now I'm going to do Hebrew? Okay. So listening to it, knowing that I needed something a little bit more palpable, like, okay, so I'm going to start super babyish. And I was scared,
Yeah.
I didn't want to vibrate words out loud. I mean, I remember even Trinity coming in and being like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. It's fine. But, um, eventually, now that I'm been practicing, almost 2.5, almost 3 years, I now can pull rituals right out of my head and do them.
You meant
And
out of your ass.
yeah, that too. Right
Yeah.
out,
Right out of your ass.
right out of my ass, right out.
Would
But
you
I
do
can
pull
do.
that out of your ass? Yeah, I sure did.
Fuck yeah, I did. Fuck yeah, that's who I am now.
Sorry, I had to heave that one up.
But it's so nice to like the process that I really enjoy right now is because we went through earth already and now I have to go through air. I know it's a process and I trust the process. So if it looks a little wonky or if it's a little scary or things get a little heavy, which they did, you've been through it with me at this point, that I know no matter what it brings up, whatever feelings it brings up, whatever I have to deal with, A, I'm strong enough to do it or it wouldn't be put in my plate. B, I know that it's a process and it is for my benefit. It's not for me to be a victim to it. And as long as I ask help for when I need it,
I'm so sorry. That one was really funny.
uh-huh.
Ask help for when I need it. I love you. I'm sorry. Continue. That was just that one got me.
Yeah,
I
right.
love
Because
dyslexia so much.
well, that's the way that comes out. That's the way I didn't even, when you're laughing, I didn't know what you're laughing at.
Oh, because
because it was so perfect for me.
in your head it came out perfect, and your mouth said, "Nope." ask ask help for when I need it.
Ask help for when I need it.
I don't know why that one was really funny
That
to me,
totally made
but
sense to me. I am accepting my full. This is me accepting my full blown heathenness for sure.
oh, I love it. I'm sorry to laugh, but that one really got me because it was also the way you like kind of paused in between it. It was like a I felt the comma in there.
Yeah.
I loved it so much.
Oh God, it never ends. This is
No,
us. It's
yeah,
right here.
we can't help it. But also to add to that, also everything comes with divine timing and you trust that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually just got to the point because you know how we're always like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and blah, blah, blah. And we keep running our wheels and like nothing hasn't quite hit yet where we actually could plant our seed and really grow from it yet.
Yeah.
I now have gotten to the point of like, oh, I don't have to do it. It's coming anyway.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
I don't have to search for it because it's coming. But here I am, like always searching for something else. And I was like, it's so calming to come to a place where you know you've done the work, you know you're attracting what you need to attract, you know that you're getting on the right path, you know you have the people in place to help you with it, you know that like um everything has its timing and I don't have to get wrapped up in the fact like, well, I'm getting old and I won't be able to do this. I don't have to get wrapped up in the fact that, like, it's not soon enough. I don't have to get wrapped up that I'm not enough anymore. Like,
Yeah.
this is what's really great about working on yourself, and it's not something that, like, is done lightly, and it's not easy, you know?
I mean, after 9 months of episodes, I'd hope that you guys understand that this is not easy.
Mhm. But when they come, it's so rewarding. The downloads, the epiphanies, the like just little magic things that I can appreciate throughout my life, my day, and that even better is I get to share it with people. I get to share it with
Mhm.
you, I get to share it with my daughter, I get to share it with my clients, I get to share it with these people that I love. And it's really a great place to be at. Like and it's right where it's just a great I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just basically rambling at this point. But
She's just happy.
I'm just happy. I'm just grateful for everything I've been through. Bad, good, ugly, beautiful, all of it. All of it has been who I am today.
Yep.
And that's it.
Before we get to the end of this episode, I just really quick want to give you guys some different tools that I found to maybe try when you're having those anxiety moments. One of
Hmm.
them is if you have not heard of or tried breathing exercises before, look it up. I'm not going into it. Try it. If you
Yeah.
did not listen to our last episode about meditating, listen to it. Meditate. It'll keep you in the here and now. A
Yeah.
big one that has been very helpful for me in the past and as well as you is try getting a tarot deck, getting familiar with it, and use it to get clarity on the fears that you have because it takes your problems from inside of your head and spreads them out on a table and it can
Hmm.
really help you. We talked about getting into a routine. Give yourself that routine. I tell you guys all the freaking time. You create your own reality. If you know you're going to have to get up early, Nicole and I have to be up. This episode is going to come out 2 weeks later. So keep that in mind when you listen to this and then try to come and talk to us about this. We have
Yeah.
to be up tomorrow morning at 3:30 in the morning
Hmm.
and we're okay with it. And you know what?
Hmm.
You know how we're going to do that for ourselves? Tonight, all my makeup's packed. Everything's ready to go. I'm going to even lay out my outfit before I go to bed. I'm going to make sure that my coffee machine is ready to freaking roll in the morning. I'm going to set myself up to have a good day. Even that right there takes away the anxiety of I have to be up at 3:30. I have to get ready in the morning. I got to go do this. I got to do this. It takes away those thoughts are fleeting. They're gone. They've ran away.
Well,
Uh,
not yeah. I say to add to that too, like talking about tomorrow because we're doing a big wedding, um, which is also can be anxiety. You know, um, no, it left.
I wonder if this is where you're going because my next one is try accepting yourself and your life. Try not to identify with your issues. Observe what is happening without judgment. Try to step back if you are having those moments. Try to just
Hmm.
accept it and observe what's happening so that you can be aware of it, so that you can stop identifying with what's
Yeah,
happening.
that neutral observation that we talked about in the meditation episode is where you want to be at. Neutral,
Yes.
neutral observation.
Yes.
Not
Uh,
allowed to judge it.
I put this one in for Nicole. Try repeating Psalms 46:1. Psalms are spells. Psalms are spells. Psalms 46
Absolutely.
1 says, God is our refuge and strength and ever present help in trouble.
Absolutely.
You do not have to be Christian to say it. That right
Mm-mm.
there is just opening you up to spirit to help you. God is
Absolutely.
our refuge and strength and ever present help in trouble.
Or the serenity prayer.
Or that, yeah. Do the Our Father, do something that will pull you out of those thoughts and will
Mm-hmm.
open you up for spirit to help you.
Because what is the serenity prayer? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, to change the strength to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got two more and then I'll let you guys go. But try guided meditation to help with anxiety and calming the mind. There are a fuck ton of them, and most of them are free. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
lots of them. Those will help you if that is going to feel better to you, is having somebody that's not there talking to you, calming you down. Try that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the one that we talked about already, but I'm going to reiterate on try working out or taking a walk. What if you take a walk? It's going to be out in nature most likely, and that's going to help to get you in your body. Being in nature is going to help. It's going to help ground you out.
Mm-hmm.
Movement on the outside can aid with movement on the inside.
Mm-hmm. Being grateful, like trying to find something. Like if you're worried about, okay, so if we're doing this wedding tomorrow, like if I am worried about my performance and not doing a good job or not being on time, or, I could spiral through the whole thing if I really wanted to. I am grateful for having the opportunity. I know if I wasn't successful enough if I wasn't prepared enough to have this, it wouldn't be in my wheelhouse in the first place. I would never have gotten
Right.
this wedding, right? So right there, it already tells me that I am confident in doing this because they've given it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Being grateful the fact that I've, made this connection with this person. And it is a very, um, this will be a very giving thing because I've known her for so long and watched her grow over the years. And I'm so thankful for that, for just having the experience with her and having her and her friendship. So these are the things that we can really like if you're worried about um not making your rent even. Be thankful for every dollar that you get. Be thankful for the job that you have. Even if you hate it, fine. It's giving you what you need at the moment until you find a way to get to what you need. Be thankful for where you're at, even if it's rock bottom, because you got to have a foundation to grow from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So being grateful for like having things that just because they're not perfect, like the clothes you have on your back, to like, I'm thankful that my heart's beating. I'm thankful for my lungs that breathe. I'm thankful. So these are things that you can really they're easy to be thankful for because like a lot of times I'll be thankful for my legs at work if I see somebody with crutches
Mhm.
or um anything like that. You can it's a really easy way. It's hard to do the transition, but once you get there, or if you can even put a post-it note somewhere about gratefulness, or sometimes I'll write it on my body if I need to like be remind if it's something that I really need to be reminded of. So instead of a post-it note, I'll put it just one word right there just to remind me. You can even just put a dot and be like, this dot means grateful. So every time I see it, I'm reminded of it. And it
Yeah.
helps your brain put these patterns and these rituals in so that you can have a more successful time at managing your anxiety.
Heck yeah, man. I hope, again, my intention is to give you guys more ideas on ways to cope with your anxiety, give you more tools in your tool
Mhm.
belt, maybe give you a little bit of understanding of where your anxiety could come from so you have some starting points to start looking at it so you can start helping yourself. The goal is to help you guys. Help you, help us, help you, help us, help you.
Yes.
Yes. Because in return,
In
you
return.
helping yourself, you're gonna help us, which is gonna it's a good payoff, man.
Well, then you get to help a buddy too. And,
Exactly.
it's one of those
Yes.
things that you can remember when we were doing all the pass it on kind of thing where you pay for the coffee in front of you or whatever like that. It's the same thing with this. The more you work on yourself, the more you can help the people around you.
Yep. Exactly. Well, friends, our next episode, we did this very in order, just so you guys are aware. We did this on purpose, obviously, but our next episode is gonna be on overthinking.
My favorite pastime.
Oh, my favorite pastime. My biggest pastime.
I love it. I must love it. I do so
Apparently,
often.
so do I. So
Mhm.
that's going to be a whole ass episode where I am sure Nicole and I are going to be learning right along with you guys. So,
Oh, absolutely. Oh, overthinking.
alrighty, my friends. This is a good episode, and I like this one, and I hope it helps because I talk to people about stuff like this a lot, and
Mhm.
we just want to be of service.
Absolutely. So, I hope it helps. I hope that you guys find peace in your life. Um, or like this is what we're doing this for. We just want you to feel better about your life. Bring more joy, even if it's just for a little bit. Bring more joy into your life. And then maybe you can pass that on to somebody else as well.
Absolutely. That was a great way to say that. Like I said, help you, help us,
Yes,
help
help
others,
you.
help you, help us, help others, you, us, others, whatever way you want to do it, others help us, help
Mhm.
you. It's all the helping. We're helping.
We're helping.
Community.
We're helping.
Oneness. Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
All right. Good night,
Heathen
people.
heathens come out at night.
Yeah, we do come out. Gets real weird at night. In the morning, professional, party at
Professional.
night.
Party at night. Goodbye,
Okay,
heathens.
bye-bye, everybody.